Yo, 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 yo. Move this bad boy to break even here. We got an opportunity to pass this guy tonight. Going to the long weekend with a new set of funded accounts at Top Step. Globex, you just take that in, man. Globex, you just take that. Would have gotten full TP there, but we're just trying to build up a little bit of a buffer so we can size into this last 1,000. Plus, we still got these micros working here. Take one off there. I think the high of the range has got to be that. Impulse at 235. Let's check. Yep, 235 is the high. So let's put one. I'm gonna do one at 220-ish range. We'll modify that later. My thesis going into tomorrow is maybe some downside and then a slow grind to a green day. They're gonna want to close a green. I mean, going into a 3-day weekend, Memorial Day, doesn't have to be big green. I think the idea is that it's just not a big red. But you never know. I mean, we've got all sorts of news circulating, and you can have Trump tweet something or some new policy or any type of news can throw it off. But the baseline is assuming, like it is most years, just a slow grind on Memorial Day. What are we up there? Let's take one off. And you know what? We're going to go break even on this just because you can see somewhat of a channel working right here. You can see somewhat of a channel. I don't necessarily like going to the wick, but you can see that we're just building ourselves a little wedge here, a little wedgie. We could still reject and, chop our way down and still fall through, sell back down to the lows of the day. I mean, or we could get the full retrace, open up, and start climbing. Tomorrow, I'm really looking for let's see, where is my drawing tool here? Here we go. Looking for this zone to break tomorrow. Take this over to the close. I mean, this was the brick wall today. Couldn't really get any sort of continuation throughout that. And if I continue this guy, if I move this guy over this way, maybe zoom out a little bit. That whole resistance support thing. I mean, you can just keep going. I mean, there was a reason we were fighting this today. Pretty stellar level. So that's a key breakout tomorrow if we get it. The target would be highs from that last day, this line here. Kind of a roller coaster experience on this combine so far. Locked in the small green last Friday, and then had the chance to pass it and really pushed. Was all over the place this day. Got within 350 bucks of realized profit, and I was really within about 50 bucks of unrealized. No, it was 100 bucks of unrealized. Basically canceled out that day, and we're on to shooting for it again. Monday's off, then we've got these 3 days. The goal is just to, build in some buffer and lock in a really solid June payout with these combines. Other news, been trying out this firm, TOPONE. Really quite impressed. I've got it to look exactly like my Top Step accounts do. It's instant funded accounts, and we're just looking at day one here. And I mean, I took a total number of 10 trades today. You could see we want to just lock in some green. I mean, all these trades, when I would enter something new, I mean, I was putting my stop at, $80 loss or $90 loss. The goal with these is just consistency and to hold it for the remainder of the year. Honestly, if you can take these bad boys through the end of the year, that would just be awesome. All right, a little rejection on that 200 side, back into the EMAs, need these EMAs slash VWAP to hold. Yeah, I would be out past the 74 level. Back testing also the top end of this wedge we broke out of. So yeah, it really needs to hold here to get the continuation that we would like. Taking a quick poke. I would be out under 78. I like this setup. Couple hard rejections there. I mean, it's going to be a quick out if we lose this level. This is my straight to funded top 1 account, so not trying to push it on this first trade, just risking super small size.
They have good locations, good properties, but it's trading at like 7%, which is, or maybe even higher, which is high for them. So it's distressed. So yeah, I think healthcare biotech is still challenging for the most part.
Like the CEO of MedPace, which is a medium-sized CRO, they had their earnings about 2 weeks ago, and most of their clients are not pharmas, they're biotechs. And he literally said, our clients are running out of money. Their book-to-bill went from 1.3 to less than 1 in like 3 months. And especially on top of that, you had the fact that Trump is saying we want the MFN, most favored nation status for drug prices. Who in his right mind is going to put a dime in a biotech?
Yeah, the other thing that I saw today that I was worried about was on the alternative energy and solar side. I was worried about IRA extensions, and a lot of these firms have gone up a lot in the past 2 weeks, and a lot of that was negated today. So there were some big moves in solar. A few that I was watching was Enphase and AES and a few others, but yeah, it's an interesting market right now.
Yeah, but the guy on Noble Space, and I have to ask George again, because the guy was mentioning the fact that Pfizer has gigantic potential liability / lawsuit on their back. And I know the company, we do business with them. They still carry clinical trials, even though they tend to cut them very quickly these days. But the guy was saying, like, it could be a bagel. That just freaks me out. But in parallel, you're more than welcome to buy them, because when I sell, it probably goes up, and when I buy, it goes down.
Yeah, I don't know, it's a bagel, but the administration is going after them most likely, and I don't know what it would extend, but possibly they might have to carve them up, break them up.
So yeah, that really made me freak. Let alone the fact that I could lose my job if they go tits up and the whole industry goes south. Because funding is dramatically being cut. It's being cut at the university level through NIH, that has been cut on the funding side, and it's being cut. We help them on the logistics of clinical trials. So if they stop doing trials or less of them, well, I'm kind of fucked. Anyway.
Yeah, just one comment there. The NIH cuts to universities, in some instances, there's going to be a delay for the impact of that, and it could be years. So I was digging around in that for a few companies. So that impact is probably a delay.
Oh, really? Okay. Good to know. No, I thought it was because one measure that they announced that I thought was immediate is that they were capping at 15% the admin costs of any study carried out within university, whereas in the past there was no cap. Now all the admin costs are capped at 15%. End of story. Which somewhat shrinks the size of the pie. I don't exactly know how it's going to work out, but.
Yeah, you got some balls for buying CCJ. I couldn't do it. I bought it at 35, but I gave it away in the 40s. You could have bought all you wanted on that one when Goldman was doing the Westinghouse deal at 22.
Yeah, but do you think it's going to run big time from here, or I should just dump it tomorrow and make $2?
I would probably dump it and take your money and run. I think these are just pops, short-term pops. I mean, I was a chemical holder for many years. I was sweating like crazy with the tax liability and flooding and after Fukushima. And, you know, now that it's sexier, but I was always waiting for the big profits at the end of the rainbow, but it never seemed to be there. Even on the long-term contracts, they don't typically they don't do that well.
Yeah, there was actually a guy who ran a fund in Dallas. I can't remember his name. That was entirely dedicated to uranium. He had a full-blown thesis, and he made, I mean, LPs had to wait, but he made pretty good money because essentially, I think the contracts at some point went from 40 to 80, essentially. Am I correct?
Maybe. I was just going to say for nuclear exposure on this news, I have two holdings that I do like. Fluor, FLR.
Oh, yeah.
The management thinks their stock is really underpriced. They're buying back. They own, I think they have a 30% stake in NuScale. I like them, and then I like, what's the other one? BWX Technologies. So that one's not cheap, but the thesis on that one is if they can do reactors on shore as opposed to offshore, then their TAM explodes. So, you know, that one's interesting. There's only like 100 million shares. It's quite thin. Yeah, they're the most consistently profitable firm that deals with this stuff.
Wasn't there a company called Bechtel back in the day that was doing all the infrastructure and the building for the nuclear plants? Or maybe I'm off base. I don't know.
Don't know.
Bechtel, Bechtel. Yeah, maybe.
It didn't really ring a bell to me.
But FLR is one of the prime, what do you call them?
Turbines, they do mining, they do energy construction projects, they do roads. So
Yeah.
They're in a lot of areas, but they have the majority stake of NuScale SMR. And I don't know if where have I heard that Bechtel? That's gonna bug me.
You can Google it, actually tell us what it was, but I'm pretty sure they were involved in nuclear stuff at some point. Bechtel. Maybe the one, but I can't remember.
Bechtel. Notable projects include the Hoover Dam. That's where I've heard of it. Privately financed nuclear power plant.
Okay, I was not so much of base. Do they still exist?
Yeah, I believe so. Yes, 2022 second largest construction company in the U.S.
Are they private?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the thing, they're private. Maybe they belong to Koch Industries, I'm not so sure. I don't know. I think they belong to Koch, which is the largest private company in the US, by the way.
I think it's just Coke. Like the brand Coke.
Yeah,
Coke is definitely funnier.
No, but because that's the way it is. It's Koch.
Coach. Koch. Could be Cook as well.
Yeah, Coke is
So
massive.
consensus is Coke.
Coach.
Yeah, that's the way it's put. Well, I'm not a very good reference for pronunciation, but yeah, they are three brothers. They are
Pretty sure it's Coke.
multi-billionaires. They funded the Trump campaign big time. Top industry, massive company.
Okay, Texas Kennedy sounds
talk about it like that. I know, but it is cool. The Koch brothers. I hear them talking about them on the news all the time. Koch brothers. I just hope somebody clips that and talks about it. Yeah, do you know they're gonna do it?
Yeah, I hope one of your happies has recorded this stuff. Joe Schmuckatelli or somebody.
Yeah, where is Joe? I'm missing Joe. He's so pissed off with the tax bill that went through.
Or Elon. I get a kick out of his Elon tweets.
Yeah. Joe is.
That's something I do want to talk about. Actually, is the tax bill. I'm trying to read through it still, but if anyone has any thoughts on anything they've read about in that tax bill, I think the one that we have now is probably the one that's going to get passed. Especially Frank. Frank, did you see anything in the tax bill that pissed you off or that you liked?
You know, I haven't really delved into it. I'll dig into it this weekend. There's Senate is going to play with it a little bit next few days. So sorry. The Senate's going to play with it for next week, so we'll hear more. But I'll look into it.
Are you going to get higher salt deductions up in the Northeast?
Yeah, a little bit higher. It really doesn't change much for me, anyway. I don't think.
Oh, I think they went from 10 grand to 40 grand.
In real estate taxes, you can write off. I mean, yeah.
Exactly. Property taxes that you can deduct.
Yeah, that's big. That is big. Yeah, it's going to be a game changer for a lot of people for real estate. That'll put a bit underneath the market because a lot of taxes are yearly real estate taxes where I live are between 18 and 60,000 a year.
When you say real estate taxes, you're talking property taxes, right?
Yes, sir. Property taxes.
Yeah, just like in Texas. In Texas, by the way, they are.
If you can write this off against income, that's a big, right?
Yeah. Which was the case before they capped the deduction.
Yeah, it depends on the salt. So I'll look at it. Definitely.
Essentially, you're going to be able to itemize up to 40 grand.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah, that didn't really help me out here in
Garden City, New York?
Yeah. Long Island.
Yeah, of course. The Black Horse, baby.
Yes, sir.
Bethpage Black. That's a South golf course.
So anyway, yeah, interesting times. So, Emperador, I suggest that you put a bid on Pfizer tomorrow, and I sell you my shares. You'll probably make some money.
I didn't realize you had the Kathy Wood effect.
Anything I touch, at least initially, is generally not performing well. Sometimes I get right immediately, but...
Oh, one thing we've already seen impact the market. Sorry if I cut you off. I don't think you are the next Jim Cramer. You're just down on yourself. You make some good calls and some bad calls. But you're not. I think you gotta understand. You're not that important. They're not all trading against you out there. But one thing we already saw the tax bill is the solar thing. So they're cutting the solar credit. So that's why solar tanked.
The story was not down that much though. I mean, you got that person that Apple mentioned. I think he was short that tank like 40%. He told me this morning. I think maybe I'm mistaken. I think it was one. Exactly. And Ferris was 75% too. Like I said, I was that move. I'm not really in the weeds of why they would be done only for. Maybe they're not affected as much as
Yeah, that's a good question.
I mean, so it's down and out, but I don't think it's over. I think it's just down and out. I think it's going to go sideways for a while, but I know some technology that's coming on board that's going to bring solar back to the forefront of civilization. And I think that they're going to get creative where they put panels.
yeah.
I was down in Florida this past weekend, and I'm walking across these railroad tracks. And I read an article about somewhere, I think in Europe, they're putting solar panels in between the tracks. So, that's continuous. So imagine the amount of land that the solar company could do if they put the panels in between the rails of a track. I mean, you got the electricity right there. It would be pretty interesting. Yeah, I would agree with that. Solar's down but not out. But there's a huge concern over new funding for new deals, and it looks like a lot of these guys are over levered. So caught sideways. Yeah, I'm looking at this private equity situation where the problem with solar, and I'm not a big solar panels guy, but I'm quickly starting to become one because of this deal. Looking at
You remember, Frank? I told you that there was a huge tax break along with it.
right. So solar panels degrade over time quickly, and China's their lifespan is like 15, 20 years, so that's a real headache. And the reason they degrade is from they get too hot. So there's a company that created this film that can increase with light, can cool them by 25%, and can increase if you can keep them cooler, you can increase their output by 26 to 34%. Imagine how that could be a game changer. And it's an inexpensive product.
And the company is?
I can't tell you. I can send you the docs if you want to get involved. I'm looking at the docs. I sent it out to you.
It's a private company.
Private equity, yeah.
Ah, okay. Oh, but
I'll give you a hint. It's the same company that puts that little film on the $100 bill so you can recognize it.
But did you check as to whether if you invested in the deal, you would get all the tax breaks I told you about?
We haven't gotten that far yet, but I'm sure you would probably. I think that you would get.
You would get what you invest as a deduction of your income taxes.
Yeah, but I think that you would get a piece of the savings of the companies that bought the product. It could be like, 1,000 bagger, a 10,000 bagger. But I think that it's being, and I think I can hold out for another 6 months because they're doing some tests with the big solar companies now. But I think that a year from now it'll be probably pretty interesting. But I don't know. These things sound great and then they go sideways. And I have other private equity that I'm trying to work my way out of. And you can't work your way out of those. You just have to wait.
Yeah. Harvard is dumping private credit LPs at 50 cents on the dollar. So, yeah, it's very liquid.
So someone said, I understand solar are dead in the tax bill. I think that's true, but I think what they're talking about is something different, just like an advancement in solar technology. Am I right? Or are you guys talking about a tax break?
Well, he's talking about a tax break. You know, you do get a tax break when you put solar panels on your house. I don't know if that's going to go away.
Yeah, I think they're getting rid of that. Pretty much all of the tax breaks for solar.
Yeah, the big tax breaks that everybody was doing was investing in essentially a one project, like a mini solar farm, or putting panels on top of 10 best lines, and then they enter into a SPA, forward price agreement, for the next 10 or 15 years. So everything is locked up. The price at which the electricity is going to be sold. And all the money that you put in as an LP into the project, you can take 33% years off your taxes, not your income, your taxes. And all the rest, as the asset depreciates, you take the depreciation and you deduct it again against your taxes. So the IRR is unlimited because you write off your taxes. It was insane. So people did it in space. All the managing directors at PIMCO, because I know because I did the deal with them, they did it personally for millions of dollars.
Have any of you guys heard of a company called Nextroll? That's it.
The road join.
What kind of company is that?
I was going to say,
For Adderall?
I was going to say something very stupid.
No, I've never heard of that company. What kind of company is it, Frank?
It's an AI marketing company. I invested in it like 3 years ago. They have like 1,000 employees, but it's stuck. I'm stuck in it.
So why don't they go public?
Most solid companies they get bought out. They'll probably never go public. They'll get bought out by one of the big boys. That's the whole kind of.
They got 1,000 employees, so they can pay them, so they're probably making money at this point, aren't they?
They're doing pretty well.
So you should be doing pretty well.
Well, you know, it's like you know, any kind of sale. It's not there until it's there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but actually, I can give you a name. You know that there are shops. There are not many of them. I think there are 2 of them.
This is the San Francisco. Yeah.
There is a shop on the West Coast, and I think it's San Francisco. They specialize in the trading, or the brokering, I'd rather say, of secondaries, LPs. Essentially, stuff that you want to get rid of, but the GP cannot let you out because there's no exit. But that stuff trades on a secondary market between willing LPs that want to exchange stakes. And when I did that, we had a stake in one of the unicorns at the time through a fund. But when Cap 6 folded up and we said, we want to dump it, we don't want to take the risk anymore. So we sold our LP stake in the fund that owned that company. So instead of making a 6-bagger, we had to take a little bit of a discount. They specialize in that. And if your company is big enough, 1,000 employees, which sounds like it, you go to them and you tell them, I own this, I'm looking for a buyer, and that's what they do. That's their job. And they're very good at it.
private equity groups and they were just Germany, so you could buy boxes of stock. I bought it at $3.50. Yeah. I don't want to tell you where I sold it, but it was a good trade, but I should have held it.
But Frank, because at the moment, 99% of people don't have a fucking clue what Palantir does. Do you?
Yeah, they do a lot of every camera that's on the street. They're involved in some way in the technology. They're watching everybody.
Yeah, that's what I was told. Essentially, they know my name, they know my social security, they know everything about me.
Their government contracts are huge.
So it's essentially a Black Knight or Black. What was the name of that company?
Israel is just all Palantir. Yeah.
Yeah, Frank, have you heard of this? I think a buddy of mine to this tech firm, Captus in Intel. I think they're a tech firm. They deal with I don't know if it's a criminal database.
We'll get this break here.
They're slated to go IPO, but I don't know.
Not heard of them. There's so many out there. I mean, there's so many. If you can rifle through this stuff, I know a guy that buys 10 companies. He in 2000, I think it was 2001. He was buying Facebook for pennies when it was way before it went public, when it was in the early stages. And I think he had like 14